Welcome to Healthcare Huddle, the podcast dedicated to interprofessional collaboration in the sports medicine team. Today, I thought we would do something different and I would answer my own questions as an athletic trainer in the secondary setting. So if you didn't know, I'm Katie. You probably knew. This is Sedona. She's helping us out today. This is where she wants to be, so it's where she's gonna be. So let's start where I was first introduced to athletic training. So when I was a junior in high school, I had a stress fracture, definitely the female athlete triad. For sure I had that. But stress fracture took me out of practice for a while. I pole vaulted and I loved it. It was my whole personality. It was my whole identity. And to not be able to do it was hard, especially for something that felt like it wasn't that big of a deal. And now that I'm an athletic trainer, it is a big deal. But back then I was like, it's not even broken all the way through, which is crazy. Anyway, I remember my mom suggested that maybe I try helping out with the girls who hand out water at games, like be a water girl. And I thought that's kind of cool. At the time, I didn't really know what I wanted to be. I thought maybe I wanted to be a firefighter. I had like half thought about it. And then at one point in time, I wanted to be a veterinarian. I even shadowed a veterinarian for a couple of weeks. And I thought maybe PT, like maybe I want to work in sports. That'd be kind of cool. And so I just thought, whatever, like this would be fun. Actually, I wanted to be in the Olympics for pole vault. I wasn't that good. That was never in the cards for me. But I decided to go and ask our athletic trainer, who I thought was a PT at the time. I went to go ask her if I could work games, be a water girl. And she said, actually, if you want to, you could come to practice today. And I said, all right, I'll be there. I ended up going to football practice that night, and I have pretty much been in a training room every single day since then. I fell in love with athletic training pretty quickly. I just loved everything about it. Like, I still love everything about it. I'm never upset to clean bottles or a cooler. Like, I love everything about athletic training, and it has been like that since the first day that I walked into that training room at school. So I'm from Arizona, if you didn't know, and Grand Canyon University, GCU, they had a bachelor's athletic training program. The problem was I would have been set to graduate in 21, but the cutoff for having a master's degree was supposed to be 2020. And then COVID happened, and you know what happened after that. So I decided to do my bachelor's degree in exercise science at Northern Arizona University, knowing that I wasn't going to make that cutoff. And at the time, I didn't know about GA-ships. I didn't realize that was a thing. I just thought, like, why would I go get an undergrad in athletic training just to get a master's in athletic training? Which actually one of my classmates did. But that's besides the point. Exercise science it was. I went up to NAU. I lived in Flagstaff for 4 years. I was able to do our first aid tech student program, the FATS program, with our athletic trainers, because they can't call you an athletic training student if you're not in athletic training classes. And that was cool. I didn't love football. I did not love working football. And it wasn't the workload, and it wasn't the tasks, because you were essentially just a water girl. I wasn't mad about it. I loved being in the training room and watching our athletic trainers do stuff and listening to the grad students learn things. And I loved all of that. The problem was I didn't love the players, but they sure loved me. And I remember all I wanted to do was just watch and learn from the athletic trainers, like observe, be there, like soak it all in. And I would always end up getting cornered by some idiot. Anyway, Amanda the AT on TikTok, you probably know who she is. I literally begged her to not put me with football again. And so she put me with girls basketball, girls volleyball, and that was amazing. It was amazing. I learned so much. I actually got to do a lot, even with girls volleyball as an undergrad student, which I'm sure I probably wasn't what it was. But it was really cool, and I loved it. Then I applied for my master's program, also through NAU, which is kind of what my plan had been the whole time. That is what I wanted to do from high school, and that's what I ended up doing. I just didn't love being in Flagstaff anymore. So NAU also had a Phoenix campus, and I said, please send me to the Phoenix campus also in my interview. And they're like, oh, really? You don't want to stay in Flagstaff? No, I did not. And I want to do new things. So I went down to Phoenix, and I was able to do my internship hours through high schools, and then in the clinical setting, in like a sports med primary care doctor setting. And I got to work with so many people and see so many things. And then working with like primary care docs or non-op sports med docs is super cool. I kind of basically got to be like their right-hand man. I would go in, I would do the evals, I would come out and tell them what I thought. It was awesome. And I got to work alongside fellows at the same time. So there was a lot of interprofessional collaboration in there. And I don't know what happened to those fellows, but I really liked them. I did work with orthopedic surgeons just a little bit, but I was primarily with the sports med docs. We did a lot of casting. I would do all of the DME. It was awesome. I got to kind of like see all the inner workings of everything in a clinic. I got to see a lot of different personalities, a lot of different professions, how they all clash, learn from them. But being back in the high school setting, like, really rekindled my love for athletic training. Even still today, like, love working in high school. I mean, I chose to work in the high school setting, but I really liked having that in clinic and high school option. Sorry. So when I was applying for jobs, I actually was kind of looking for that. I know a lot of athletic trainers dread clinic. I love clinic. I still love clinic. Honestly, I love everything about athletic training though. Like, I could love my job wherever I am, honestly. Well, almost everywhere. I feel like Charleston has called to me for a while because I almost did grad school out here instead of back home. I ended up not applying because I think my GRE math score wasn't high enough or something. I got this job out here. I moved out and I definitely learned a lot at my first school. And that's kind of all I really want to say about that. Yeah, the kids were amazing. That was a good thing about my first school, but kids are amazing everywhere. Kids are kids everywhere. So now I'm at a different school now. It's very, very different than the school that I used to be at in so many ways. And then I'm working in a clinic with an orthopedic surgeon who is awesome. Everybody that I work in clinic with is awesome. They're amazing. I love working with them. Yeah. So that is a really, really long way of telling you how I got here. So let me see what my next question is here. Personally, for me, I think successful interprofessional collaboration is kind of more seamless. So when you're handing a patient off from person to person, the less that you can tell, the better, if that makes sense. So in clinic, I will go get the patient, I drop them off at X-ray, then X-ray brings them back to the room, and then I go talk to them, and then the doctor sees them, and then they leave. And they have seen so many people, and they have gone through so many processes, and they don't really notice. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, the whole system is so seamless that what people see is that they had a doctor's visit. They don't see that they saw the X-ray tech, they saw me, they saw this person, oh, I went to the doctor, I had a doctor visit. I hope that makes sense. We see this also with physical therapy to athletic training. You know, I think what happens a lot, especially in the high school setting with athletes who are going to physical therapists post-op especially, is they'll see the PT until their visits run out, and then all of a sudden they're at my doorstep and I'm like, I don't know where you are. I don't know what to do. I don't know what you've been doing. I think a really good example of what it should look like is, you know, in the beginning, obviously PTs kind of um, they hold a bigger role in that athlete's recovery. And then it needs to kind of slowly transition more into my care. And because there is a point in every athlete's rehab where their PT visits run out. I have yet to see that not be the case. So yeah, I think it just kind of needs that slow transition is really what makes the best scenario, not just for the athlete and their recovery, but even for the care that we're able to provide to this athlete. On a typical day, I collaborate with all kinds of professions. So I kind of have talked about it already, but I collaborate with our orthopedic surgeon, our PA, the other athletic trainers, MAs, our X-ray techs. That's just in clinic. And then when I come to the school, we do have a school nurse at our school. We kind of collaborate. And then even with other athletic trainers at other schools, I do have one example of the best collaboration I have ever experienced. This was at an away football game, and one of my kids got very seriously injured, very seriously. Their athletic trainer, it was on their sidelines, so their athletic trainer was there first. I get there, I look at it, I look at her, she goes, vacuum splints? I said, yep. And that kid's shoe was cut off, pants were cut off, well, pant leg cut off, vacuum splint was on, the gator had already been pulled up, the ambulance doors were open, we drove him off in the gator, we put him on the gurney. The handoff between us and EMS was flawless. That kid got out. I think that kid got off of that field in 45 seconds max. And we were able to get him care that he needed very quickly. And I think about that all of the time. That emergency action plan was well thought out, well executed, but I can't speak highly enough on that EMS team and that athletic trainer for the collaboration and the seamlessness of how all of that went. That is exactly what I think of when I think of peak collaboration. So the hardest part of collaborating with other professionals as an athletic trainer really mostly is just that people don't know what athletic training is. They don't know what I'm capable of doing. So they show up to something and assume that they are the higher trained person, even when it's not true, or they bypass me completely. And that's really hard. And that's not even specific to any profession. I've experienced that from PTs, I've experienced that from EMS, I've experienced that from pediatricians and the ED. They have no idea that athletic trainers exist for the most part. I mean, a lot of medicine has no idea that athletic trainers exist. And so when I get doctor's notes and whatever, and they make my job harder because they don't know that I'm there and that I can be doing stuff, that I think is the hardest part of athletic training. And I think we only continue to make that better. Yeah, I'm fighting the fight to make that not the case. Doing what I can. Have I ever been in a situation where the providers didn't agree? Yes. And that was with EMS with an athlete with heat illness. And they tell you in school that someday you might have to fight EMS on it because they don't learn ice immersion and stuff like that. It's the gold standard for heat illness is cool then transport. That is the gold standard across the board. It's not just a thing athletic trainers made up. It is the gold standard, and for whatever reason, it's not something that they learn. I mean, why would they? They don't travel with an ice bucket on the ambulance. So when the only time that is available is during sports. And so a lot of the time, the first time that they're hearing about it is responding to heat illness with football or with whoever. And yeah, no. So another tip that I learned and I would definitely recommend is throw the kid in the ice bath, then call 911, because then at least they get like a good 5 minutes in the ice bath before they get transported. But no, that was a whole argument. Yeah. So one thing that I wish other professionals knew about our role is just how like deep the roots of athletic training goes, I guess. I think most of medicine is very compartmentalized. So, we have specialists for everything. Athletic training kind of goes against the status quo in that because we're not one thing. We're basically like a sundae that's a scoop of all kinds of healthcare professions. So, like EMS sees us as rehab professionals primarily, or other rehab professionals see us as EMS primarily. Maybe somebody who's never heard of athletic training, they see us as personal trainers or whatever. But we're kind of like a scoop of all kinds of things because we have to be the one person for any need for an athlete at all. So I wish it was like that. I wish people didn't try to fit us into a compartmentalized. I wish more people understood that about athletic training, that we're not one thing, we're kind of a bunch. And that's a hard thing to ask because medicine isn't built like that. Athletic training really is kind of a unique scenario to that, which I think is why other professions have such a hard time like fully grasping what we do. Strategies that I use to build trust with other healthcare professionals. I assume every healthcare professional who comes up to me is an expert in what they know. I want to know everything, and the only way that you know everything is by knowing you don't know it all and learning. So I always just assume that they know what they're talking about, and I want to know why. Like, that's super cool. Why would we do this exercise for this athlete? Not that I'm questioning them, I just want to know. And so I think we grow from each other. And when you assume the best of people, 9 times out of 10, you get the best. So I just assume what the part of their job that they're doing, they know what to do, because that is what I would want back. Yeah. Honestly, that's all an athletic trainer could ask for, is that you assume that I know what I'm talking about. Advice that I would give to new athletic trainers. I can't think of one, but I'm going to give you 2. The first one is the person who believes that they're the smartest person in the room all of the time is never the smartest person in the room. The opposite's typically true. And the second one is it's easy to find holes in really big egos. So what the application would look like for athletic trainers is there is something you can learn from everybody. And for me personally, I want to know it all. And so I will pick everybody's brains. I feel like in order to know it all, you have to ask everybody what they know. Because then if you know what everybody else knows, now you do know it all. I'll get there someday, maybe. And then with egos, people with big egos never win. There's always something that takes them down. It's easy to find a weakness in a really big ego. You got to put that ish aside. You have got to work with other people and be humble. And I think that kind of ties in with my first point is, learn from everybody. Not everybody is going to learn from you, but you can learn from everybody. Maybe that should have been my one advice. That was pretty good. I liked that line. So one thing that I think would improve interprofessional collaboration in sports medicine across the board, and I have said this before in this podcast, is if everybody was just put their pride away just a little bit. I think in medicine, especially pride, well, just in the world, but in medicine especially, pride is such an ugly problem. Yeah, pride is a really ugly quality to have. And it gets in the way. It gets in the way of our athletes, of the care we're able to provide, and that other professionals are able to provide them. I think if there was less pride, and not in pride like in your work, like pride, like ugly pride. I think if people had less of that, we would all just get along and we'd all just collaborate and it would just be great. If I could give you one takeaway, it would be that line that I came up with. Not everybody's going to learn from you, but you can learn from everybody. In that I mean, like, not everybody's going to, it's not that you don't have stuff to offer, but not everybody's going to choose to learn from you, but you can always choose to learn one thing from somebody else. And just think, like, if you knew one thing from every person that you met, you would have so much knowledge. Seek knowledge? I don't know. You know what I mean. Yeah. Okay, and here are my fun questions I've been asking everybody. Coffee or energy drinks? I drink both every day. RAP my heart. No, I drink coffee every morning. I have to have 1 cup of coffee. And then I've been trying to limit it to just game days. Lately, I have an energy drink. I do have preferences in energy drinks though. They all make me feel different. I don't know if that's like I've become a connoisseur, sommelier for energy drinks. What can I call that? Caffeine. That's what I'm caffeine. Yes, call me a caffeine. But I actually feel like I tried Form 1, kept me up all night long. I like, what is it, Rogue? What is the one? No, hold on. Rain. Rain has become my favorite energy drink. It's got electrolytes. It's like, isn't it made in Iceland? I trust everything that comes out of Iceland. So yeah, Rain has become my favorite. I was an Alani and a Celsius girl in grad school, but I have moved on. I didn't like Bang. That reminds me of when I was in the library studying in undergrad, pulling all-nighters and then taking an exam the next morning. I can't do it. It gives me anxiety. And yeah, I will not drink a Red Bull. I don't know why in my head Red Bull is dangerous and it will cause me a heart attack and I cannot drink Red Bull. Even though the stuff that I'm drinking has so much more caffeine, I don't know why I think that. I just do. Okay, Red Bull feels dirty. I don't know why. I'm sorry, Red Bull. I guess I just don't want wings. Ooh, favorite taping or rehab tool? Cupping. I throw cups on everything. I love cupping. It just works for my athletes so well. And I listen, it could be placebo, it could be whatever. I don't believe it's totally placebo. I don't think it's breaking up scar tissue. I don't think whatever. But man, do I love cupping. It's great for even a high school setting because I can throw cups on somebody and like ignore them for minutes or whatever, however long. It's fantastic. I love it. So I throw cupping on everything and it makes them do their rehab exercises. Like throw a cup on your leg and then make them do an exercise. They'll actually do it for the cup. So I love cupping. And it really doesn't hurt anybody. You can't really hurt somebody with cups. So it's perfect. A sports injury that I find the most interesting, concussions, easy. I just think, especially because I feel like you see so many in the high school setting. I'm sure you see them a lot in other settings too, but they're all so different. And they're just so interesting to me. Even when I was in the concussion clinic and we had all kinds of people coming in, no 2 people had the same symptoms. No 2 people had the same experience. Like, it's so crazy. And I think that's the coolest thing ever. And I would love eventually someday maybe to get into concussion research. For right now, I love what I do. Yeah, no, concussions are so interesting. I don't know how you could describe them any other way but interesting. Game day ritual or superstitions? I am superstitious AF. Okay, you know Michael Scott. I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious. I'm superstitious. So superstitious. I will not say today is slow. I'm bored. Listen, sometimes I slip up. I'll say it. I hate it. I will knock on wood. I knock on wood like 400 times a day. The full moon stresses me out. I really like wear similar outfits. I wash my clothes. I don't ever like not wash something, but I love wearing all black on game day. It's kind of like that. Sometimes I'll wear red because our school is red, but I like an all black on game day. I don't know why, but it feels special and it feels like it helps the team win. I can't explain it. And yeah, anything. I also have to have an energy drink on game day. Every time I've had an energy drink on game day, nothing bad has happened. So, knock on wood. I'm gonna jinx myself with that. Silly. All right. That was me. I knocked on the table. You're fine. It wasn't the door. If I wasn't in healthcare, what would I be doing? Honestly, I do ask everybody these questions, and I've said this before. Like, that's a hard one to ask healthcare professionals because you don't get into healthcare. You don't stumble into healthcare. You're passionate about healthcare. It's hard to get into. We all went to school. We all had goals. We all worked very hard to get here. That being said, I would love to be a stay-at-home dog mom like my mom is. She goes to Pilates. She hangs out with the dog. She decorates the church. What a lifestyle. Sherry's living the life. But no, I probably would work in retail. I did that a lot but I don't even know. I hated it. Do you know I was a Christmas elf up in Flagstaff a couple of times. Maybe that was kind of fun, kind of magical. Maybe I would work with kids. Maybe it'd be like I don't know. I could be a teacher, man. These kids are crazy. I don't know. I feel bad that I keep asking everybody else this question because it's kind of a hard one. But I still think I would work in sports in some capacity. Like, I love being a woman in sports. I think it's cool. I'm the oldest child. I'm the oldest daughter of the oldest son of the oldest daughter, I think, of another oldest daughter. The older sibling genes in me run deep. I love working in sports. I love yelling at men. Just kidding. Kind of. One item on Amazon that I cannot live without. Let me show you. Get out the way. I gotta get up. I need you to get up. I know. Hold on. Let me show you what I can't. Okay, hold on. The dog won't get up. Give me a second. So I am a plant girly. And look at this cute little bulb. I know, isn't it cute? This is a watering bulb thing. Don't eat the dirt. Don't eat the dirt. But it keeps them watered. Isn't that cute? Okay. This is getting chaotic. Okay. But because I'm so busy, I forget like basic chores, basic tasks, that kind of stuff. Will I ever make myself less busy so that I can do that kind of stuff? Absolutely not. But this helps me remember not to kill my plants because it waters them for me for like a week. But it's just like a little water bulb. I'll put it on my Amazon storefront, which I'm working on getting up for you guys, but that's another task that I keep forgetting to do. But this is amazing. Well, you know what? If I didn't work in healthcare, I'd work in a plant store because I love plants. I literally have 8 in this room right now. Just right now. We'll put this right here so you can see how cute it is. There you go. So yeah, I would work in a plant store. Any closing remarks? Anything to add? Nah, she doesn't have anything else to add. There's nothing going on behind these eyes. Look at it. Look at him. I love you. Thank you for listening to another one. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you have any questions on anything that I said, go ahead, ask away. I love to answer questions. I love talking to people. We'll be back next week with another interview. Yeah, that's all I have. The dog didn't have any closing remarks, and neither do I. So see you next week. Thank you again for listening.